Personally and on behalf of Rio Tinto Pacific Aluminium and our Gove operations, I would like to acknowledge and pay respect to traditional owners whose land on which we meet today. And I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Gulawai Yunupingu, Chairman of the Youthu Indi Foundation and our host for the invitation to join the Gama family for 2012. I'd also like to acknowledge Senator Crossan, representing the Honourable Martin Ferguson, and wish him all the best. I'm also pleased to acknowledge and be in the company of many leaders from the minerals industry, government, Indigenous affairs, education, tourism and the wider business community. Importantly, I'd like to say thank you to the Yolngu community, your leaders and representatives from across the region, and I extend my for welcoming us all to Golkala. It is really a beautiful place and it's a privilege to be here. I also should apologise for, on behalf of Mr. Sandeep Biswas, who's our CEO, who is unable, unfortunately, to attend today. But as Chief Operating Officer of our business here, it's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning. This year, 2012, marks 40 years since the Gove Bauxite and Mine and Alumina Refinery commenced operations. And over those years, with the two previous owners, and especially recently since Rio Tinto's acquisition of the business in 2007, the relationship between the business and traditional owners has developed and matured significantly. Today, I think we can all feel some real satisfaction with the fact that traditional owners are now rightfully acknowledged and are active partners in our business. Partnerships are an important part of the way we work. Our partnerships with traditional owners provide open, fair and formal vehicles that allow us to share the economic benefits from the operation of our mine and refinery. I noticed that the vision for the Youthu Indi Foundation is for Yolngu and other Indigenous Australians to have the same level of well-being, life opportunities and choices as non-Indigenous Australians. These life choices and opportunities require, among other things, independent economic opportunity. The recent boom in Australia's resource development has provided many opportunities, as Senator Crossan remarked, and many benefits for many Australians. These include thousands of jobs and training and career opportunities, significant investment in local communities and the establishment of new businesses for local contractors and suppliers. Right across Australia, communities and individuals have been party to one of the longest and largest periods of investment in the resources industry, and as Senator Crossan has indicated, this isn't over. This investment is evident in mining communities and capital cities right across the country. And while some commodities are experiencing very strong markets, others such as aluminium at the moment are facing headwinds. But for the purpose of our discussion, it's useful to generalise beyond our own operations here locally. Resource companies can support and increasingly have been supporting the development of local businesses. This support involves, where possible, using local Indigenous contractors, suppliers and services, and also by welcoming joint ventures between established organisations and service providers working with traditional owners where aspirations align. As Senator Crossan remarked, that's a very sensible foundation for a new business, as it very quickly provides a quick start-up and it spreads risk. Resource industries tend to be cyclic, experiencing good times and bad, and operators like Pacific Aluminium have to focus on ensuring our operations are sustainable at all times. We need to apply the same focus to making our local communities robust and resilient. We won't always be in boom times. This can be achieved by developing businesses that are relevant to local communities and linked to mining and minerals processing operation like ours, and leveraging off them, but not completely dependent on one industry. Direct employment is very important, and it's difficult to overestimate the economic gains that come to a community through the skill development and economic benefits that come from high-quality jobs offered across the mining industry. If you take a look at Rio as an example, many of you will already know Rio Tinto is the nation's largest private sector employer of Indigenous people. This employment is building communities and community capability right across the country. It's critical and indeed fundamental to the strength and diversity and sustainability of a region, however, that we look beyond just the direct employment, beyond direct employment with mineral resource companies. Together we must focus our attention and intellect on building robust, broad-based regional economies, focusing on small business, industrial services and procurement, tourism and cultural activities, sports and recreation, agribusiness and other joint ventures, as well as direct mining industry-linked enterprises. We should use mining as the platform and the point to lever off for broader development. Regional economic development will be more successful in the long term if individual and collective efforts are directed towards designing and developing sustainable and local Indigenous businesses which are fully participating in the economy as economic equals. Pacific Aluminium is committed to play its part in the development of local employment and local business. The principles of Rio Tinto's communities and social performance standards, guidelines and objectives have underpinned our achievements to date and will continue to do so as we go forward as Pacific Aluminium. History and experience demonstrates that Indigenous Australians need to be the drivers and owners of their own destinies, whether that is as an individual, as a family, as a business or as a community. I understand this is the model that Youlnu work with to create economic independence, but levering off the benefits of our shared resource. We've learnt that when Indigenous Australians are acknowledged and given the real opportunity to take responsibility for their own futures, meaningful jobs are found, business negotiations succeed, and most importantly, community health and education is improved. I'd like to spend some time focusing on what our community commitments and aspirations mean directly here at Gove. I'm very proud of the commitment that Pacific Aluminium has shown to bringing greater opportunities to the people of East Arnhem Land. This commitment is illustrated by the fact that May this year, as was remarked before, marks the one-year anniversary since the traditional owners and ourselves signed the Gove Operations Agreement, Gove Traditional Owners Agreement. So today I'd like to celebrate the progress we've made over the last 12 months and restate our unreserved commitment to the agreement and to ensuring it delivers the intended benefits to traditional owners. The Gove Traditional Owners Agreement comes some 40 years after operations commenced here in the region, which I'm sure you'll agree is an extremely long time, and it was long overdue. Nonetheless, we're proud to be the operations owner who was able to work constructively and with genuine commitment to put in place the formal recognition of the Gumatj, Tinju and Galpu as traditional owners of the land on which Gove Operations is situated. The agreement between traditional owners, the Northern Land Council, the Arnhem Land Aboriginal Trust and Gove Operations represents for us a new era in partnership and sustainable development for this region. We have committed to working together through both good times and bad times, and we believe that the partnership with traditional owners substantially empowers local communities and provides independence to determine and drive their own future. The agreement's in place for another 4 decades, and I'm sure you all agree, if we're serious about changing the local economic landscape, and we are, then the outcome over the next 4 decades will be very, very different. Unlike other mining operations, our employment and training strategy is focused heavily on delivering regional employment. What this means is that we've committed our training funds and resources on outcomes that deliver not just employment with our business, but on training for a job anywhere in the community. This is a major shift from where our business has been previously, as there is a definite need for improvement. In the last 6 months, our alert program has placed into our business and been managing the development of 8 trainees and 5 apprentices. In addition, on the back of our newly endorsed regional employment strategy, the RELPA program welcomed 42 young Youlnu men and women into the work readiness program, with 35 successfully graduating into immediate employment with community and local businesses. This has been achieved after successfully implementing custom design training programs developed in conjunction with traditional owners. In the future, we will focus on partnerships with the Federal and Northern Territory Government, as well as with local business to support Indigenous tourism enterprises across the Northeast Arnhem Land. Together, we're tackling jobs for now and jobs for the future. Under the agreement, commitments around employment, training, contracting and business development all work hand in hand. For those of you who are Gama veterans, you only need to look around this site to see significant infrastructural improvements. The wood here, for example, comes from our operations lease. You'll recognise the rebuilding and expanding of the kitchen and dining areas. I understand none of this was possible 12 months ago, either from a materials or a labour perspective. The Go of Traditional Owners Agreement provides traditional owners access to the mining lease to selectively harvest timber that otherwise would be cleared and lost prior to the commencement of mining. This initiative is important from a sustainable development perspective as it maximises the economic use of land and local employment for Yolnu and just makes plain sense. Linking back to the RALPA training program, the majority of graduates from the first two training programs have gained employment with Gamarch Corporation and have been working on both harvesting the timber, milling it, and then working on construction projects. And the infrastructure we're surrounded by here was included in those projects. And the results speak for themselves. By working collaboratively towards a common goal, local Indigenous enterprises should grow and take advantage of the economic benefits of the resource sector. And should increase the preparedness of government and families to invest and spend on local goods and services. This ultimately contributes to sustained and continued regional growth. Today we celebrate a new era, a stepping stone as a business. Traditional owners now work together with the broader community for shared benefits from the riches of the resources within this region. Pacific Aluminium will continue to work with traditional owners in a straightforward, open and honest way. We remain focused on honouring the commitments in the Go of Traditional Owners Agreement, and we're looking forward to a prosperous future together. This year marks the 14th anniversary of the Gama Festival here in Northeast Arnhem Land. Pacific Aluminium has been proud supporter, previously as Rio Tinto, now as Pacific Aluminium, to the successful annual event. We've recently renewed a 3-year sponsorship which demonstrates continued support for the real and practical actions that are generated from Gama each year. I look forward to experiencing my first Gama. I'm particularly keen to listen to the forums and understand some of the discussions that take place. I expect to learn a lot. To close, the message is simple, and I'm sure I'm speaking to the converted. If we continue to work together and are willing to try new things and take a few risks, then I'm sure we'll create lasting and substantial examples of success which will endure well beyond Gama, well beyond our lives, and that's what it's all about. Thank you.